All right, guys. All right, we have us a special guest today, Eunice Smith. She is the founder of Wordsmith's Writer Lab, creator of Flip the Script, filmmaking competition. Oh, I've seen that. I'm definitely going to submit to that. And an activist for screenwriters of color to make their way in the film industry. So we have an ally, a friend, a comrade with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. And I look forward to this session because our conversation before, and even just reading your Facebook page, had me rolling. So all, all I know is you got talent oozing out of your ears. So I
Thank
know the
you.
screenwriters that are going to be listening to this will definitely enjoy and benefit from it. So welcome, Eunice. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Marcus. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, so we are going to just dig into this. Screenwriters, now I do well, not yet a podcast, but a page right now for new novice screenwriters
Hmm.
coming into the game. And especially for us young Black screenwriters, or they don't even have to be young because I'm 44 and I started very late. And you have to sort of go through this learning curve,
Yes.
and I want to try to shorten that as much as possible by helping the
Yes.
young ones. So, all right, what
We
is the
are
most fun?
aligned.
Yes, what is the most fundamental action a novice screenwriter needs to take?
That's a really good question. I think the very first thing that they have to do starting out is get clear on the why.
Mm,
Why do you want to be a screenwriter of all the ways that you can make a living, right? Um, why do you want to do this? What is it about making movies specifically that touches you? And that's important. And a lot of people say, well, go to film school or read this book. I like to focus on the individual. And the reason for that, Marcus, is because this journey, it's a journey, it's a marathon. There are a lot of bumps in the road that we're going to meet. There are a lot of obstacles that we're going to face. There's a lot that needs to be invested to go
mhm,
from a good writer, even if you've been writing your whole life, to becoming a solid screenwriter, someone who
okay,
can be hired, someone who can develop their own screenplays and publish and produce something that's going to be worthy of people's time, money, and attention, right?
right.
And you got to be crystal clear about why you want to do this. It can't, and it can just be to make money. I'm not going to say that that's not a valid reason, but what's going to drive you to want to invest the money, to want to hire a coach, to want to put yourself out there to be rejected, to be able to humble yourself to get the feedback that tells
Mm.
you the script that you thought was the bomb ain't shit, right? Because listen, it happens.
Right.
And if you don't know why you're really doing it, that first time something hits you, that feedback hits you in your chest, you'll walk away from it and you'll abandon your gift and you'll abandon
Mm.
your goals. So I like to ask any client that I'm working with, any screenwriter that I work with in any capacity, why are you here? What is it that you want to share with the world? What is it that you hope to gain through your experience screenwriting? Because that tells me what path you should take next. Should you
Mm.
go off on, like some people are self starters and they need to go and make mistakes in order to learn.
Right.
Some people need a recipe. Give me the recipe and I will follow it. And then you just tell me what to fix in my recipe so that I can have a screenplay souffle, right? Others, they need guidance and they're like so lost. They just don't even know how lost they are. So those are the
Okay.
ones we kind of bring them into the fold, wrangle them in, herd them in like cats, and then you give them the love that they need and they can figure it out. But
Okay.
overall, we're so removed
Hmm.
from the central process of becoming a successful screenwriter
Okay.
that we, people like you, myself, we are really literally recreating a new process by
Mm.
which screenwriters of color can build a career for themselves because the typical way, the Hollywood way, does not necessarily work for the masses of us because it was not built for us to thrive. Now they allow
Right.
us in on their
I like
terms.
that.
They allow
Right.
us in, and you got to understand there's a difference in something being made for you and something being made and then you being allowed to participate in it.
Mm,
There's a
mm,
huge difference, right? Your house
right.
is your house. You do what you want in your house. You decide who calls the shots. Well, maybe that 3-year-old does it, but because 3-year-olds they just have a way of being in charge. But
Right.
you get what I'm saying. But when you go to somebody else's house, right, Marcus, when you go to somebody else's house, you get to do what they say you can do.
Right.
You stay as long as they say you can stay. You come when they say you can come. You got to leave when they say you leave. You can only do the things that they allow you
Hmm.
to do. And that's
Right.
what Hollywood is. That's somebody else's house. That's somebody else's table. And they decide who gets a seat at that table. And they decide the terms by which that seat must be filled.
Right.
So the work that you and I are doing is to help build a different table that's and the legs of that table are stories that are by us, for us, and about us.
That's right.
Right. And then in that building of the table, we're creating an entire network, an entire ecosystem of a self-sustaining Hollywood. And I say Hollywood because that's like the pinnacle of achievement in
Right.
today's world, right? That's what everybody looks at as saying you made it. But
Right.
it's creating that Hollywood type experience for us and letting us know that we don't have to go to anybody else because we got
Yes.
enough talent oozing out of our ears, as you say,
Yeah.
to make it all happen without having to go and say, please let me in. Can I please sit at the corner of the chair at your table? Can I touch the hem of your garment? We don't have to do that.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Okay. All right. Let's move on to this next one. In terms of screenplays, what is structure and why is it so important?
Oh my God, structure is everything.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by answering another question.
Okay.
Screenwriters are storytellers.
Yeah.
So the foundation of a good screenplay is a good story.
Hmm.
And what do I mean by that? Every story, I don't care if it's a drama, comedy, thriller, and I'll tell you a secret. Every story is a drama.
Hmm.
Romance is a drama about love. Comedy is a funny drama, so forth and so on. You can do the math. But
Right.
it's all about story. So screenplay is kind of the confines of how you put your story together so that you have that beginning, that middle, that end, so that people can follow you from the thought in your head to the end of the story and say, bravo, that's a good job. So
Hmm.
structure is what allows you to do that. We've got the 3-act structure. We got the 5-act structure. We got the 4-act structure. People play around with how many acts and beats and all these kinds of things, and there are books
Right.
and all those things about it. Not going to go there. But structure is simply and this you can look back all the way to Shakespeare and Plato and all the greats way back in the days, right?
Yeah.
But story simply has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what you do in the beginning sets you up for what you can do in the middle. And what
Right.
you've done in the beginning and the middle gives you an allowance for what you can have or not have happen in the middle. So more than creativity, it's the logic within the creative confines of the 3-act structure. I don't care how
Okay.
many other acts people want to add to it. It's 3: beginning, middle, end. You get that beginning right, you get that end right, you can get wonky in the middle, but your beginning and your end are going to tell you what you need to fix. So structure is literally everything that helps your story become as great as you need it to be. If you look at any story, even music, if you look at
Yeah.
songs, you look at books, you look at
Hmm.
commercials, there's a beginning, a middle, an end.
Yep.
Beginning is the setup. The middle is all the cool stuff that happens in the middle, and it sets you up for the resolve, which is the end. Now what happens? We use this in
Right.
business. We use this everywhere in life. When you write a Facebook post, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's
Right.
structure at play.
Okay.
So structure, story structure is every part of our lives. We live it without even recognizing it. And it's because it's so fundamental to human communication.
It seems to me a good analogy or analogy I can think of off the top is like, let's say your story is like soul or spirit, and then the structure is the biomechanical suit that you put on and sort of prance around the world in.
That's
So
right.
you can present it in many different ways for
That's
many
right.
different audiences. So, okay, all right, I like
Yeah.
that.
And the other thing is when you understand that your story is really beginning, middle, end, you can
Hmm.
Quentin Tarantino that shit and people will be amazed by it because
Right,
what Quentin and I have a love-hate relationship for him. Okay. I'm
right.
gonna just put that out there because I'm a praise him in one sentence and in the next you might hear me talking about him like I can't stand him. I love him for what he does with story and
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk about that. But what people see in Kill Bill and all of the movies that Quentin Tarantino put together, they see him chop it up and they like,
yeah,
how is he doing that? But you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you
right.
know what your beginning, middle, and end are within the story structure, you can flip it on its
Play
ear
around with it.
and play
Hmm.
around with it. But you can't play around with something that you don't understand. So understanding that this is the structure, it's tell the beginning, tell the middle, tell the end, right? I can give you the beginning of his story, then I can give you the middle of her story, then I can flip it around and give you the end of his story, and then give you the beginning of her story, and I can flip flop it any way I want to and make it work because I
Right,
understand structure. And that's one of the things that Quentin Tarantino has done an extremely good job with. So if you
right.
understand structure, you are well on your way to success as a screenwriter.
All right, that's awesome right there. Okay. So, what stories are popular or being sold in the marketplace right now? Is there a particular genre or a particular type of story?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing is, and I want to preface this statement by saying, by the time you see it in the theaters, by the time it becomes popular information, you most likely are on the end of a trend wave.
Hmm.
And the reason I say that, Marcus, is because screenplays can take sometimes, I'll tell you this way, screenplays that get greenlit in like early 2010s, like 2013, 2014, are sometimes just now making it to market.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you might not see a screenplay happen for 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 years.
Hmm.
That movie, that Christmas movie that everybody raved about, Jingle Jangle, 20 years in the making.
Dang.
So when we start talking about trends and what's popular, what
Hmm.
we see on TV, what we see being released in movies is typically on a 5-year trajectory, if not more.
Okay.
Right. So one of the things that I try to caution writers against is trying to find and ride a wave.
Hmm.
Because by the time you get on that wave, right, you say, oh my God, I just saw Candyman and Nia DaCosta is the #1 Black filmmaker, director, blah, blah, blah. She opened up #1 on the box office. I'm going to write a Candyman type movie. By the time you get from first iteration to second iteration to third iteration to pitching it to getting it in front of somebody, 2, 3 years have passed. And now the trend is romance. And
Next
you
wave
see
is
what I'm
coming.
saying?
Hmm.
So the most important thing to focus on as a screenwriter is not what's trending, but to be a trendsetter and a trailblazer.
Hmm.
And the way you do that is by understanding your voice.
Hmm.
That's the very first thing. So remember, I talked about what's that bigger why. All
Right.
of us have a particular type of story that we are in love with for a particular reason. And
Hmm.
that has a lot to do with how we were raised. It has a lot to do with the things that we saw happen in the world, the things that we didn't see that we thought we should see, right? All of those things kind
Right.
of influence us. And so if you look at Jordan Peele, he has a very particular take on story that's
That's true.
undeniable. Same
Yep.
for Ava DuVernay, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry,
Yep.
Spike Lee, anybody that you look up to, even Dr. Dre, he has a very particular take on music.
Yeah.
So in that essence of you as Marcus, right?
Yep.
Your essence is what's going to create a trend.
Mm.
Because when you start putting out movies that people absolutely resonate with, that they absolutely love, you become something that they look forward to.
Got you.
Right. So that's that building of the table as opposed to trying to get on the wave that someone else created.
And this basically goes into the next question is how does the novice screenwriter build up their value in the industry?
Well,
Which
doing
sounds
things
like,
like this.
yeah.
One of the things that we have got to get better about doing, Marcus, is networking across.
Yes.
And building together.
Mm.
Now, I'm not going to get on this whole buy black, all that. I'm not going to get on that soapbox. But one of
Gotcha.
the things that I have learned very quickly is that the film industry, much like life,
Yeah.
is about connections. So there's something
Mhm.
that we call social capital. The social capital is really your network, your friend list. Who can you tap into? Who can support you? Who can you support?
Right.
As you try to do the things that you're trying to do. And in building, right, when you reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to talk? I'm like, shit, yeah. Right. And it's not just so much about, well, he can help me get on. It's like, what can we do together?
Right.
Right. So when you find those individuals that seem mission aligned, you are all about stories that are by us, for us, and about us. I'm all about stories that are by us, for us, and about us. Like we want the same things for our people. So why wouldn't I come and sit and talk with you?
Right.
Right. And that doesn't
Yep.
mean that anything is going to happen for it. But what I am doing is I'm saying I'm putting out into the world the energy that I wish to receive. I'm saying
Yeah.
I want to support somebody that's building something that aligns with what I want to see in the world. So in this way, my energy plus your energy plus whoever's listening to this plus whoever I tell about it, now we have greater impact.
Right.
And so one of the things that I'm not necessarily happy to see, Marcus, is that we hold information close to our chest.
Oh my God.
And we don't mean any harm. Because and people say, yeah, black people just like crabs in the bucket. Yeah, we are. But you know what? We don't belong in the fucking bucket to begin with.
Preach that.
So here's the thing. Instead of us trying to climb out of the bucket, how about we band together and knock that bitch over and then everybody can get out? Because we don't belong. Crabs don't belong in a
Yes.
bucket.
Nope.
And they only climb over each other because they've been put in an environment that they are not meant to thrive in. People put crabs in a bucket when they intend to kill them.
Right.
And limit them. Because guess what? If you're in the bucket, all they got to do is put a lid on it. Now where are you going? Nowhere.
Yep.
And that's what existing Hollywood is. It's a bucket.
Hmm.
So what happens is I find a good screenwriting coach, but I'm not going to tell my friend about it, even though my friend is a screenwriter, because if she get on, I can't get on.
Right.
That's their crabs in the bucket mentality, as opposed to saying, I found a screenwriting coach. Everybody I know finna get on.
Right.
Because that's how we knock the bucket over.
And I when I started, and this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. When I started, that's what I ran into here in Hollywood, because I'm about 15, 20 minutes from Hollywood and Long Beach. But I was like, where's that network for us? Where is that? It just seemed to be very sort of loosely connected.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that your observation is so on point with that.
Yeah, so we just have to, and it happens one at a time,
Yeah.
but it happens quickly.
Yeah.
So me understand, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm a late bloomer like you, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 20 plus years in corporate.
Okay.
But I wrote my first story when I was 6.
Oh wow.
So fast forward at least 20 years, right?
Gotcha.
Because don't nobody need to know my age. But flash forward, I'm like, let me go ahead and get serious about this writing thing.
Mm-hmm.
I take all of the classes I can find. I read every book that I can find. I love
Right.
books. I'm a bibliophile. You show me a book. Like there's not a book I've ever seen that I don't love. That's just the
Right.
way I am. But what happened for me, I went to the University of Wisconsin. I went to UIC in Chicago. I hired private screenwriting coaches. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And I'm
Okay.
like, something is missing. Something is missing because though I've been a storyteller my whole life, I don't get this. What's missing? Couldn't figure it out. But I sat and like, okay, this is what I'm trying to figure out. And I have a process engineering background. So I married my process engineering background with my love for story. And then your very important question about structure.
Yes.
Right? Like, what's that beginning, middle, end? What needs to happen in the beginning? What needs to happen in the middle? What needs to happen in the end? And I took that structure and those questions, and I said, if this is what needs to happen in the beginning, then these are the things that I need to understand. These are the questions I need to be able to answer. And if I'm going to do this in the middle, then this is what I need to know. And out of all of that, I was able to create a screenwriting development system. So now no writer's block, no confusion, no plot holes, no shitty stories, and you get a screenplay.
Nice.
But like I said, I'm a seasoned newcomer. So now how do I do this? So flip the script. You heard me talk about flip the script. I was talking to a friend of mine, and everybody in Chicago knows Eunice, she do that with that screenwriting. That's what we need to talk to. But I had no idea how to put together a screenwriting and filmmaking competition. No idea. But through social capital, through talking to people about my mission, my bigger why, the what, like, this is the problem that I see. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. Who do I need to talk to? I talked to one person who sent me to somebody else, who sent me to somebody else, who sent me to somebody else. And next thing you know, I got 20, 30 people.
Nice.
All helping me push my car forward. And that car was Flip the Script filmmaking competition. There's no competition in the world like it. Nothing. Because we do is we take education and we connect you to industry people. So you work with SAG-AFTRA talent, you work with professional film crew, you learn what it takes to go from a concept to a completed screenplay, and you learn how to do all the production stuff, and then you learn how to direct it. Like, what? Who's doing that? Nobody.
Wow.
And that all came from me being frustrated with what I saw in the market. I'm like, how? Because here's the question that I was trying to answer. If you are a new screenwriter, a new filmmaker, and you are trying to get to, let's just say, Sundance, and film school is not an option for you, how do you do it? You know why you don't know the answer to that question?
Right. Why?
Because it doesn't exist.
Right.
The answer doesn't exist. You know what the people tell you? Write and pray.
Pretty much.
Isn't that the answer you got? Write and pray. And I said, that ain't good enough because, how did it go? Faith without works is dead.
Yep.
So what am I supposed to, God, what are we supposed to actually do?
Right.
Because just writing, you're going to have a whole lot of shit written, and ain't nobody going to, like, well, when you die, somebody's going to find it in the bottom drawer. Is that what we're saying our fate is? So no, I reached out to people and built a network. And I said, this is what I'm trying to create for screenwriters of color. And everybody was like, say less. I got cameras. I used to direct in Hollywood. I know a guy, girl, you can use my house. Let's get this done.
Right.
And so I had us looking out for us, but I also had some allies that don't look like us, but understand.
Right.
Right. We have, because see, here's the beautiful thing and the scary thing at the same time. We as people of color don't recognize that we need people who are not of color just as much as they need us.
Right.
The world is diverse for a reason.
Right.
And it's when we can embrace our diversity and understand that we are more alike than different that we can truly build. Because if I look at everybody who doesn't look like me and decide that they're my enemy, I'm creating a problem for myself.
Yep.
I'm creating a problem for myself. Now, they are not my enemy. I've made them my enemy.
Right.
Right. So understanding that building your network means that you need to identify your allies.
Yeah.
Because if someone has made it to where I'm trying to go and they don't look like me, but they want me to succeed and they're willing to give me information, why wouldn't I take it if I know I can help my whole community?
Right.
Because they don't look like me. Right. So then what is my goal really?
That goes back to the first question you asked.
What is your
Why?
why? What is
That's right.
exactly? So
That
I
is
can put
awesome.
my ego to the side and say, I'm going to go work with this Latina. I'm going to go work with this woman with blonde hair.
Right.
I'm going to trust. I'm going to stand in front. I'm going to stand on the front line. I'm going to trust that me building a relationship with her, with him, is going to get us where we need to go.
And so you can accomplish that why.
So that we can accomplish that why, that bigger mission.
That's
And
right.
by doing so, Marcus, I was able to secure a sponsorship with Final Draft Software.
Okay.
So the last season of Flip the Script, we just finished. And as a matter of fact, we have a premiere coming up on September 24th. We got Final Draft Software to sponsor us. So everybody that participated got a free copy of Final Draft 12, the baddest software in the business.
Come on, plug it.
Now, if I had said, I only want to work with a black screenwriting software company, which one? Which one?
Right.
I ain't finna go begging in for no help. I can do. Why not? Because if this is what your contemporaries are using, don't you need to have it?
That's true. Yep.
We can't come out the starting block running in socks, and our contemporaries in competition is running in Nike spikes. What are we talking about? We're running in socks. Shoes.
It ain't no.
You gotta have the best. How? Like you might as well run backwards.
Yeah.
So all of this comes together. It all culminates in an experience that helps you get where you're trying to go in rapid time, right? Like building a network, understanding your why. These are the things that are going to help you connect to people.
Yeah.
Right. So you know who you can feel when somebody is not aligned with you. That's and you don't even have to wonder if you should put some energy there. Because if you know why you're doing what you're doing and what you're trying to do, when you have a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation, you can tell, oh, no, they're not. We are not the same.
I know when I started out, I made clear my why, like you said, is that, well, I knew that I was only going to work with people that had integrity.
That's right.
That had compassion toward other people and weren't trying to step like, I'll wait. If it takes me 5 years longer and I only work with those type of people, I'm willing to do that. I don't want a shortcut with shady people.
That's right.
So I knew that from jump.
And that matters. How you do business in this world matters, because all we have at the end of the day is our reputation. And through doing the things that I've been talking about, my reputation is beginning to precede me.
I've only spent a few minutes with you, and I know I'm going to be connecting with you in the future for sure.
I appreciate that. And that's what I hoped. That's the impression that I hope to leave on people. Right? Come on, Fly. But that's the hope. That's the hope that, that's the impression that I hope to leave, is that when we get a chance to interact, that we make a connection that's bigger than just Marcus and Eunice.
That's right.
Because
that's right.
I need you, brother, to succeed. I need your podcast. I need your show to succeed.
Yes.
Right? Because Flip the Script is now going into a cohort model where we got a 12-week screenwriting class. And out of those 12 weeks, we're teaching you production. We're teaching you writing, pitching, and pre-production. Wow. Imagine that. So it's like film school.
That's basically what I was going to say. Wow.
It's like 12 weeks of film school. You're going to learn how to write. You're going to learn how to fine tune and pitch. And then you're going to learn the pre-production stuff. And I don't mean like bullshit. I mean like you're learning about cameras and angles. You're learning about colors and editing. You're learning about how to block shots and shot composition. What?
Man, y'all got to take advantage of this. I want you to go ahead and plug the website to that, everything with Flip the Script and what you guys are doing. Go ahead and plug all of that.
The Wordsmith Writers Lab is thewordsmithwriterslab.com. That's the home page. That's where everything is being done. Now we are revamping all of that, but that's neither here nor there. You can also find me on Instagram, script_sister. And I can be found on Facebook all day, every day, Eunice N. Smith or Eunice Smith. I have a social media team officially, but I still answer all my own DMs. I still comment. I still like to connect, because one of the things that's most important to me is understanding who I'm trying to affect. I have a mission, Marcus, to affect 10,000 writers of color in the next 10 years.
I love it. I love it.
Because that's how
I
we're going to
love it.
change the world.
Come on.
Right? Because
All right.
the thing that I see is that media has a major impact on what we believe we can do in this world.
Yes.
And that means if media is that important, then that means representation matters.
Ooh.
And
Yep.
if we can represent ourselves through our own stories that are powerful, that are not the tropish gang stories, that are not the tropish Black woman can find everything but love, right? If we can if we can show them how powerful and engaging and entertaining the full experience and spectrum of colored people is,
yes,
we can uplift our communities at the same time.
Yes, I'm on that.
And that's the mission, right? So I need you to be successful.
Right.
Right? Because your success is going to make somebody else successful. Somebody's going to hear your podcast and not necessarily want to connect with me, but they're going to realize, shit, if Marcus can do it, and if Eunice can do it, and if the other 12 people that Marcus had on his show can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what it's all about, because the babies listening to this, the seasoned newcomers like us that are listening to this, are going to be inspired to go for something different than what they thought they had possible.
Yes.
And in that way, we all win.
I told you guys Eunice Smith was going to be something else. I hope you guys connect with her. You guys need to definitely, I mean, this is literally, I don't know what the cost is. I'm pretty sure people will check that out when they get on it. But this is film school, tailor-made for you.
That's right.
Oh my God. Eunice, thank you so much for your time. I super appreciate this. I will definitely be in contact for sure.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.